Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the workbench. This is the latest batch of cars I've been working on from that collection I bought recently. Just like in the last video, I've been working on a lot of brand new cars, and I've been also in the process of customizing a few of them, selling off of a couple of my older cars, and replacing with the newer ones. So there's a lot to show here, and I still got a lot to do and a lot to show later on. But this will cover a few interesting cars I've been doing. It'll kind of get you guys up to date on some projects I've been doing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I've been trying to get a collection of some more over common prototypes, but more over unique pieces of rolling stock. For example, center beam flat cars. And to start, I got this TTX Walthers, one of the older center beam cars. And this one was a fun little project. I did a nice bit of fading to this one, and I did all the rust and grime on it. And since this is one of the older cars, you can see there's a good bit of rust and grime and a lot of scratches and pings and dings on the deck there from when they removed the wood off of the deck. All this gets really scratched up. If you've ever seen photos of these from overhead, especially the older cars, they just get beat to hell, and it's something I try to focus on. So a lot of dry brushing techniques, a lot of hand painting techniques, doing all the little lines by hand. It took a little bit of time, but it looked pretty good. And then I got all the straps in place on the car, something very important to model on these. Right out of the box, none of these cars, even the better Atlas cars, don't have these. But they're on every one of these cars, and it's important to have them. Now this one, whoever did these straps obviously put them, pretty neat and tidy. You can see they're all lined up perfectly, but most of the time they're just thrown on real fast and strapped, and they're all bunched together. But I tried to model one that looked kind of neat and clean like this, so it looks pretty cool. But just some other wash techniques down the sides, put the safety stripes on it, all that stuff. But it's a nice modern representation of one of these cars. There is a little graffiti there in that corner because I saw a picture of a car like this. I couldn't find the exact road number, but I copied the photos or the graffiti from the other car for this one. So, and again, you can see those scratches on this side, pretty prominent on it. And then the trucks and all that are nicely done. I also put the new couplers on there, and then I got the special pivot mechanism air hoses. I put these on the car, and these are from some Atlas coil cars I did recently, which I'll show in a minute. These are from the kit. They come as spare parts, but they work perfectly for these center beams, and they really help to spruce up the detail. So that's the first one I did, and that's one that's bare without a load. These next three all have loads, and I'll go ahead and bring them into the picture here. One is a Tolco loaded car, and then three are Riverside lumber cars. And these all are weathered with various weathering techniques, mostly acrylics and chalks and stuff like that. They all have the safety stripes. They're all weathered from photos, and they all have the loads with the straps added to them as well. So this is the Tolco car, the ATW road. And then this is the IC car, and I think I have two of the IC cars. There's this one, and then there is this one here. And they're all just pretty much weathered the same. And again, these all three of these have the new couplers and the new air hose mechanisms added to them for realism. So these were all fun little project cars. I did these a couple weeks back, maybe actually I think a month ago actually, and I just haven't gotten around to taking pictures of them and showing them. But I did post some pictures on Facebook a while back, but this is the first time I'm showing in video form. But these are the first three center beams that I've done with the loads, and I'm pretty happy with them. I'm pretty excited to finally get some of these, and I definitely want to make some more. I want to get some of the Atlas cars when I get a chance, because those are the more modern cars, and those are the ones you see more prominently around the US and Canada these days, so those are the ones I need to get. But that's the first three of those. Some other, I talked about the coil cars, where I got those brake line mechanisms from. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys these here. These are NOKL coil cars from Atlas, and these are really nicely detailed coil transport cars decorated for NOKL. On these, since they were bright red, I had to tone them down quite a bit with a bit of white fade. To do that, I added some custom graffiti to these, grind them up real nicely, put the safety stripes on them, and then on this one I did some patching and a little bit of graffiti too to mix things up a bit, but you can see a lot of the grime, but just really how faded these are. And of course they have the kick-up spray, the new couplers, all that stuff. And then here's these sides here. But these are the first coil cars I've done, and again, these are really neat. I really like these cars. I need to get some more. But these are the first three. I'm not going to go too crazy with coil cars just because I don't want to model too much into the steel industry. And these cars are pretty stretched out on merchandise rates anyways. Sometimes you'll only see one or two. I've literally seen one in a long consist one, so I think I can get away with only having a few of these. The second one I did, or the third one rather, is an ATW CSX patch out, and this one was another really fun car to do. So you got all the grime weathering on it, put the safety stripes on it. You can see this actually has the double set of safety striping, which is cool, where the top hood on this car is from another car where they put the safety stripes on the hood cover itself, and then the car also has the safety striping, so you get this really neat little pattern of striping, one of those little oddities I like to model on these cars. I obsess over the little details like that, so I focused on that with this car. But of course I had the grime, did the wheels up, got the nice clean rim edges, something important. I said it once, I'll say it again, you got to keep those clean on these cars if you want them to look realistic. Just lots of grime, a little bit of graffiti work, new couplers, all that stuff. And then on this side here I tried to really do the gang scribble and the graffiti work there, so it looks really cool. But that's the CSX coil car. Like I said, I won't be buying too many more of those, but I might get a few more, possibly some UP cars if I can find them. This next car I got is a BLMA flat car. This is an 89-foot pipe flat here, and so far I've gotten the weathering done to this car. You can see the deck on this is really beat up, just like the prototype. It's faded down quite nicely. Got all kinds of scratches. It's kind of hard to see, but I really try to focus in on those. It's not really showing up too well, but there is a multitude of little scratches that I did, that I achieved this effect with dry brushing techniques to do this, and then a lot of hand painting techniques and stuff like that. But I also did all that, and then you get the kick up leaking up onto the deck there too. I still got to put the wood beams across the platforms here for the pipe supports. That's the only thing I got to do. But other than that, the weathering is pretty much done on this, and this is a really cool car. So you can see all the weathering down the sides. You got the safety striping, a little bit of graffiti. Trucks are all nicely weathered. You got some tags, like I said, here and there, just running down the side of the car. But it's pretty beat up. You can see it really took the time to weather this and make it look nice. Got all the nice detailing on the ends, which really helps to make this car look nice. And the thing that I like about this car in particular, it's got some really nice weight, and it's nice for a flat car like this. It's got some really nice detail, great weight, tracks very well, so I really like this car. And I was going to sell it, but I liked it enough after it was done that I decided to keep it. So I'm kind of debating right now whether I get a pipe load for it or not. But right now I kind of like the look of it unloaded, and just focusing on the weathering. I especially like the deck weathering. That's why I kind of want to keep it unloaded. But I probably will still put those wood beams on it. And again, there's the look at this side of the car with the work done to it. I really like it. It's a nice modern flat car I can put in a consist just to add some interest. Because you do see these a lot. They'll be cast into a train, one or two at a time, just kind of scattered about in a mixed freight or something like that. So it's a neat car to have, a nice little, or a really interesting prototype rather. So that's the last flat car that I got. And again, it's the cars like those that I think really add interest, because as you guys have noticed, the last cars I have been doing are Gons, tank cars, box cars, stuff that's very common, but you still got to take the time to model those more oddball kind of cars like flat cars, coil cars, center beam, stuff like that, because those still do make up a large majority of the fleet of rail cars that we have in the US and Canada these days, and you see them all over the place. So that's why I've been trying to focus on those. But those are some great cars to get kind of that part of the collection kicked off, having some of those more unique prototypes added. So the next batch of cars I have here are some really neat ones, and the first car I did recently is a more modern GATX owned boxcar. Now these are really popular right now. These are some of the cars like the EEC boxes, the 50-foot FMC cars that are going back to GATX, and they're getting repainted. And this car is lettered for BKTY, and then this is number 151150. So this one is a complete repaint, fresh repaint basically. And I did this one off of photos. I repainted the car, did the decaling on it, and then put the safety stripes on it. I got the new placard boards on there, painted those. And then I wanted this one to look like a relatively light weathering job. One that's been in service for a little while. It's a couple months old, so it's starting to get a little bit of grime. So I did some black washes down the sides and some chalk weathering here and there to kind of enhance and make some of the details kind of pop out, like especially around the railing, on the track of the door there, stuff like that. And then of course the roof. Since they don't ever repaint the roofs on these cars, it's still got all the old grime and all the oxidation on the top there before it was repainted. They don't really usually ever do anything about the roofs on these. They just repaint the sides and ends. That's pretty much it. So I still try to grime up the roof considerably. Again, trying to copy from photos to the best of my ability. So that's that. And then you can see it's still got a slight bit of gloss to it, like the prototype. So like I said, these are relatively fresh repaints. It's just got that grime wash going down the side. It really helps to dull it down a little bit, make it look like it's not so fresh. It's got a few miles on it at this point. Trucks are nicely weathered, of course. And on this side, pretty much the same. But it's just a nice modern boxcar. And again, another pretty common prototype right now are these BKTY GATX patched cars that are getting freshly repainted and put back into service. So this is the first one I've done. I'll probably do another 2 of these and maybe some more BKTY, the normal patch outs that are the older cars before they get repainted. It's just the simple patch jobs. I might do some of those down the road, but that's the first one I've gotten done. I really like it. I think it's a nice car. The second boxcar I have here, and the last boxcar I do have here to show, is the one from the Sen Stormtrooper car, or the how-to video rather, sorry. And again, I'll just brush over this real quick. I did all the graffiti on this, again, from the photos, all the weathering and all that. And it really came out nice. It was a nice little project car. I'm glad I was able to film it. Even though my computer crashed, I lost part 2 of the video, so I had to end up splicing 1 and 3 together, part 1 and 3 together, so that I wasn't able to show every single technique like I was originally planning to, but you guys still got the basic gist of it, and I've gotten a lot of good compliments about this car. But just some really, really nice weathering, really good stuff like that. Lots of graffiti work, all from photos. And on this side, again, the Stormtrooper, the Sen Stripper, sorry. And then I got all the patchwork on that and everything done nicely. And recently I got this car pictured up on Instagram, and the guy that created this, Sen, actually messaged me and gave me some good words on the car. He said he was really impressed, and he was really happy with how I did his. He was quite flattered that I did his own work on the boxcar, so that was a really nice plus to this. It's definitely one of my favorite graffitied cars right now. It looks really cool. It's pretty sweet. I really like it. It's another one of those really neat conversational cars you can put in a contest, roll out a club layout. It'll grab everybody's attention. Everybody will be asking, how the hell did you do that? And you get to explain what you do. And usually you can actually attract a lot of weathering business too, or custom painting business to get stuff like this done, because that's usually what people like. But yeah, that's the Sen Stormtrooper car again. Not too much else to say on it. You guys pretty much got how I did this car. I just thought I would throw it in this video here again to show you guys this car. So it's a really cool boxcar, and like I said, one of my favorite. Excuse me, my gosh, one of my favorite graffitied cars right now. Really like doing it. Took a long time to do, 23 hours total to do it, but it was well worth it in the end. So that's the Sen car. I'll go ahead and set that back in the corner here. I got some tank cars done recently, and another rebuilt car I did is a TILX chemical service tank car. And this one is basically a rebuilt Athearn 30K, I think a UTLX design car, I believe. This one is completely redone from photos, so it's got new railings, new ladders, new walkways, new hatches on the tops there, new grabs on the ends, and again, a brand new paint job, and it's weathered from photos too. It's really cool with these cars. They have the white safety striping, which is a bit unusual these days because most of the cars have the yellow safety striping, but it was a really cool project. Of course, I got the double shelves on there, the new wheels and trucks are on there, and all that. It's just custom painted, decal letter with some microscale and highball decals to do this, and then it's got all the placards, all the correct data and everything done on it. Nice little car, and then of course it's got the grime just starting on it. It's not too old a car, but it's just starting to get a bit dirty around the seams there and all that, all the weld marks. It's just starting to get a bit grimy, but most of it's the kick up on the ends and the underbody. As you guys know, that's usually how I do my tank cars. Real quickly, I'll show the ends of this one. And again, I should probably mention this, but this car was a pain in the ass to do. The reason being was because I thought this would be a straightforward project. I stripped an older car down, started doing all the detailing, everything went just fine, including doing the hardest part, which was doing all the hand-formed brass wire and the new stanchions on top. That's all scratch built. That was actually the easy part. The hardest part to doing this car was painting it. I ended up painting it the first time. Didn't work at all. The whole paint job completely orange peeled. I don't know what caused it, whether it was a chemical residue on it. And I washed my hands and I wore gloves even too. I don't know what got on the car, but the whole paint job orange peeled. So I had to strip the whole thing down, details added carefully as I could, had to work around all these details on the top and tried to be very careful of all my new work. Stripped it down, primed it, repainted it, again, orange peeled like hell. I was pissed. 2 times in a row this happened. I didn't know what the heck was going on. And again, this time around, I tried to save the paint because it was only orange peeled in a few places, so I tried to sand those spots down and put another coat over it. It just kept orange peeling over and over again, and finally it just got too thick of a coat. Had to strip it completely down again. This time I lost all the details on the roof, had to redo those. Finally, in the end, repainted the car, primed it, repainted it, put the decals on it, went fine, weathered it, and it's finally done, and it's on my bench. It took way longer than I thought. It was a real pain in the butt. I'm just glad I finally got over with, and like I said, I don't know what happened with the paint, but that's why you don't use enamel paint in an airbrush, I guess. I don't know what happened, but anyways, it's finally done, and it's a nice TILX chemical car, another really unique car that you see out there sometimes. It's an oddball. I really like it. It's a really cool car. And it's currently in glycol service. Now the next 2 glycol tank cars I have, and the last cars I'll show for this video, are Procore prototypes. The very, very popular green Procore glycol tank cars, as you can see here. This one and the other one I'll show in a minute are done off of photos. And these cars are really, really interesting in the way that they weather, because they fade down to a very nice light green, and then they get this grime hue on the top. The sills darken, or the seams darken like this with this rust color. They're really, really interesting, and they're really fun to model. I haven't seen too many people do them like this though, so I really tried to focus in on getting this weathering just right, and I think I got it just right, in my opinion. By the way, the reason they're painted green is because of the I think it's the liquid the nitrogen. There's a nitrogen coating on the inside of these cars, I believe, and or it's a nitrogen pressure or something like that. Anyways, that's why they paint these cars green. It's a nitrogen indication, basically, and that's the reason they paint them green. Same thing with this car here. It's nitrogen lined, and that's why. But anyways, this car I just weathered from, again, the photos. Did all the nice little effects. Got a little bit of bleeding from the Procore logo there. Put the safety stripes on it, all that. The grime, updated labeling, the new placards, all that stuff. And the kick-up came out really cool too. You guys can see that really nice kick-up. And it's on the bottom there, of course. You guys can see all that. But these cars are really fun to do. I really enjoyed doing this one. This is the lighter version of one of these cars. And the second one I have, which is the last one I'll show, is a bit heavier example, one that really got bombed with this grime here. And again, a neat prototype I found photos of that I wanted to copy. So again, you can see this one just got bombed with the grime. It's really seeping down the side of the car, coming up the green in that rust hue. But again, you got the faded graphics, faded paint, grime running down in between those weld lines and the tank seams there, all the grime on the underbody, the kick-up, all that good stuff. And then the kick-up on this end. And again, just another quick shot at the top there of all that grime really covering the sides of the car. You can see how heavy that is. It's a really neat effect, and that's why I think these cars really are cool. They just weather really interestingly, and quite attractive in my opinion. They look really cool. So I was really glad I could get a 3-pack of these. The third car was the one I used to do the TILX car. That's the story behind that. That's what I used. That's what I was trying to say earlier. So I got all 3 of them done here, and they look really nice. I really like these. So these are the 3 cars, the glycol tank cars, ready to go into service here. And there's some nice modern renditions of some tank cars, like the Procore cars like these. There's some real interesting cars, and again, I really like the paint scheme on these. I think it's really cool, really sharp. So to wrap this video up, I got two locomotives to show here. This is the one I'm doing for a customer. This is a CSX 7227, and this is one of the older U-boats, I believe. And these things just really got beat up in their latter days with CSX while they were still wearing the family line scheme. And so I'm doing this one off of prototype photos. I don't have them right in front of me, but I'm doing everything off of the photos, so you got a lot of bleach spots and stuff like that, heavily faded, beat up logos, lots of patchwork and stuff like that. And I'm just basically getting it CSX-atized, if that's the correct word to use at this point. I got most of the details on it, and it's almost ready for the grime work, but I'm going to try to time that for a bunch of other engines that I'm going to do with the similar grime work. That way I can kind of tackle it all at the same time, get them done at the same time. But it's coming along slowly, one little bit at a time. I've been trying to knock a few more things off of it, but got a little bit more work to do. It's got a little ways to go, and then it'll be done. And hopefully I can show this again when it's relatively completed. So this will be a fun little project when it's done. You guys will be able to check that out. Of course, I'll post pictures of it later as well. But that's the locomotive I currently got on the bench. I got a couple more locomotives in the back I won't show today, but I'm working on those as well, slowly but surely, one little bit at a time. The next locomotive is one that I showed in the last video, and it is the model of CSX 8888 Crazy 8s, as it's known. The later version after the Runaway that it was involved in, and this is the Athearn model that I got recently, and I was going to sell it, and I recently got a buyer for it, so it's got it officially a buyer now that I'm going to sell it, sending it to here pretty soon. But I got all the details on it. You guys can check those out really quick. Pretty much my standard method for weathering, all done off photos, all prototypical details, all that good stuff. It came out really good. All the prototypical details, like I said, came out really nice. But like I said, here it is now, pretty much. I posted some pictures of it recently on Facebook to you guys. If you haven't seen those yet, you guys can check them out on my page. But yeah, this one will be going out the door here pretty soon. You guys will be, I'll be able to, finally get it out here. It's a fun little project to do. It was kind of cool doing a second one. But yeah, that's the 8888. So that pretty much wraps up what I have going on for now. I got a bunch more cars. Like I said, I got a ton of stuff I got to do, a lot of repaints and stuff. But this is only the beginning. I still got a lot more to show, so you guys can stay tuned for that. But this will get us pretty much covered up for now, and you guys can stay tuned for more in the future here, which will be, I got a couple more videos I think coming out in a few weeks here, so you guys can watch out for those. Anyways, I'll see you guys down the line. Until then, take care.